Hello, everyone, and welcome to Market Week in Review for the week ending July 1st. I'm your host, Emily Zhao, and I'm joined today by our Director of Client Investment Strategies, Mark Eibel. Mark, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Great, glad to hear it. Well, Mark, why don't we just jump right in?
Okay.
The markets have been relatively directionless since our last week's update. What is moving this market, and do you expect that to change anytime soon?
I think this could be what the summer looks like. You go back to last Friday, pretty positive day. Today, pretty negative, and a lot of flattish in between. And I think the market's starting to process. Is inflation really the story for the next year, or are we kind of at peak inflation, and what's our next thing to focus in on, right? So I think it's going back and forth between inflation fears and the alternative, which is, well, in order to combat that, the Fed's going to raise interest rates, we go into a recession talk, and you kind of see this give and take, I think, on a daily basis. Last Friday, it was more the, hey, maybe we are at peak inflation, and the market's kind of rallied, and today we got the indicator that the Fed likes to use, and it wasn't great. It's not getting any worse, but it's not getting better very fast, and people immediately just kind of sold off, I think maybe also going into the longer holiday. So I think this back and forth between inflation fears and the alternative, which is rising interest rates and recessionary fears, until we get a real catalyst in this market, other than prices just being cheaper than they were at the beginning of the year, I think this was what we could be in for the summer.
All right, thank you very much for that. Switching gears a bit, the quarter has just ended, which means that we are moving which means that, well, we're moving into earnings season soon. Is there anything that you would highlight about this earnings season in particular that makes it important or one to watch?
Yeah, I think this is an important one to watch. The easy comparable, so to speak, are over. The comparing of 2021's numbers to the same period a year earlier in 2020 when things were largely shut down, company earnings were really good. Now we're entering into period A. The comparables get harder. We're open economy compared to open economies of last year. And companies, they can't pass prices along anymore, right? I think consumers are just about at their level, so it's going to be harder for companies, I think, to hit their earnings. They've gotten very efficient during COVID, but they're not going to get more efficient from here. So I think not only the earnings that they have for the quarter, but what do they say moving forward? I think this is going to be a real potential market mover for this market for the summer. In the classic PE or price earnings ratio, this market's largely gone down because of price, right? Well, now what could take it down if you think it could go down lower? What if earnings really take a hit? And I think we're going to start seeing that over the next few weeks as earnings get reported. Again, not only what they report, but what do they say about the future?
Well, building off of that then, what else should we be looking for as we move forward into the summer that the markets are going to be paying attention to?
Yeah, we'll get the CPI number. That's very important, obviously, right now for an inflation read. And the monthly jobs number, we'll get those soon. But just because it is the first month now, the quarter's right behind us, we'll get GDP print for second quarter. Is it going to be negative, which technically means we're in a recession? How are these earnings doing? As well as just the overhang of geopolitical issues. Do we have any sort of standoff with Russia and Ukraine? Does inflation start working its way down, and does China open up again, not only to help with supply chains, but also their demand that they bring to the rest of the world? So lots of things to watch play out in summertime with lower market volume because of the summer. We'll have lots of things to talk about every single week as we do this update.
All right, well, it seems like it's shaping up to be a very interesting summer season then. Well, that is all the time that we have for today, but Mark, thank you so much for joining us and sharing some of these insights.
My pleasure.
And to our audience, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.
Hi, I'm Eric Risteman, Chief Investment Strategist for Russell Investments. If you like what you saw in this video and want to see more like it, please subscribe to our YouTube channel.